We were touring in Europe, and both Hillel and Anthony were having problems at the time, but they were, as a team, united to clean up. And they did. They were doing great. We've been working really hard for a long, long time, and they were kind of fried. We came back, and I think pretty much everybody said, hey, I'm going to go my way, you go your way, and I'll speak to you in like 3 weeks.
But without the mutual support between Hillel and Anthony, the time apart proved to be ill-fated.
When we got back from playing, we were pretty much just on a clean-headed level. And we both disappeared into our own worlds of getting high again.
Several days later, on Friday, June 24th, James received an unexpected phone call from Hillel.
He told me that he was thinking about the heroin again, and I begged him not to do it. And told him it was like Russian roulette, that, you know, spinning the barrel, you can die at any time, and there was a big pause. And he said I was right. And that was like actually the first time he said, I love you. And I said to him, I said, let's start hanging out more often, let's start doing things together. And he said, definitely, definitely. And I didn't have that chance, because after that...
That would be the last conversation James would have with his brother. Hillel hung up the phone and shut himself off from the world.
We couldn't find Hillel, you know. I'm their manager. My job is basically to be a pain in the ass and call everybody every day. Hey, what are you doing? How are you? What's going on? And I couldn't get an answer on Hillel. We called, you know, anybody, you guys hear from Hillel? You hear from Hillel? Nobody heard, nobody heard.
The weekend passed, and still no one was able to reach Hillel. Then on Monday, June 27th, the horrible truth was discovered. Police entered Hillel's apartment and found his body. Authorities believe a few days prior, on June 25th, 1988, 26-year-old Hillel Slovak had overdosed on heroin.
The night he called me and said, I love you, he knew he was going to do heroin that night. He was ashamed of it, I'm pretty sure. He was like, how did I get wrapped up in this drug?
I was going through a hard time, and, you know, they just made a mistake, took the wrong drugs, wrong time, they didn't make it, you know.
I did not accept the news. I was, you know, very much under the influence when I got it. I came back after being gone for a few days from my house, and my girlfriend told me, and I just refused to accept it.
Anthony, having lost one of his closest friends, escaped to a small fishing village in Mexico. There he tried in vain to kick heroin on his own.
I didn't actually stop using at that point. For whatever reason, you would think your best friend dies, okay, I've had enough. But it doesn't work like that, at least with my experience.
10 days later, Anthony returned to Los Angeles and checked himself into drug rehab. Though it would be a lifelong battle that he wouldn't always win, Anthony was determined to stay clean.
I got back from Mexico and got out of the hospital and, you know, one more time said, okay, I'm going to be cool now. And then it was Flea and Jack and myself and our manager, Lindy, sitting on a sailboat in the Pacific Ocean. And we decided to talk about what we were going to do.
Saddened by his friend's death, Jack Irons quietly announced that he was leaving the band.
And he left, and sort of Flea and I looked at each other and we said, you know, what do we do?
My friends are so depressed.
After losing their guitarist and drummer, only 2 of the Chili Peppers' 4 founding friends remained. But Anthony and Flea decided to carry on.
We knew that we weren't done yet. We knew that the life of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, you know, still had untapped creative energy, you know, that we didn't want to go to waste. And he and I were still best friends.
For a new guitarist, they didn't have to look any further than one of their biggest fans, 18-year-old guitar prodigy John Frusciante.
He's definitely a genius. He's got that mad scientist, guitar, art, love, spirit, genius in him, but he doesn't know how to drive a car. He doesn't have a credit card. You know, he doesn't function in the same road with the rest of the world, which is what makes him great.
When I first joined the band when I was 18, Flea and Anthony called me up. I kept real cool when I was on the phone with them, and then I hung up the phone and I screamed, "Calling the Red Hot Chili Peppers!" And I ran across the house and I jumped up on a wall, and there was like these footmarks on the wall of that apartment.
With John Frusciante on board, it was time to find a new drummer. The Hard-hitting Chad Smith was the last of more than 30 to audition.
We just started playing, and we had this connection, like, right off the bat, a musical, like, explosion that happened. I'm yelling, I'm playing, I go, come on, let's go! Ah! I'm yelling, please, we're playing. And literally a month later, I'm standing out on the rocks in Malibu with a sock on. Here I am on the rocks with the sock on my dick. I'm in the band now.
Just as quickly, the newly formed foursome was in the studio recording the band's fourth CD. Released in September '89, Mother's Milk became the Chili Peppers' first gold album.
I remember the first time I heard them, like, on a modern and big rock radio station, my jaw was on the floor. In the mid-'80s, man, it was inconceivable.
Mother's Milk was a great time. We were touring like crazy. We were absolutely rocking, feeling really good.